Good morning, everyone. Hi, welcome once again to another lovely Friday morning with Adrian and Yen.
Good morning, everyone. Happy weekend.
Happy weekend, and this is another Friday, and every Friday we have episodes of the Career Success Show with Adrian and Yen. My name is Adrian, and I'm the CEO and founder of Career Agility International.
And I'm Yen, and I'm happy to be here.
So, wherever and whenever you are listening to us on Spotify, thank you for joining us, and as you already know that we have lots of amazing content there. Please continue liking and sharing the information.
Yeah, we're happy to be here. And today we want to do an oldie but goodie because we've been having a lot of clients who are still facing pivoting issues. They're trying to figure out what's next in their career. They're thinking about why am I continuing like this? And so we want to kind of revisit some of the ancient wisdom.
The basics, basically back to basics. So today,
ancient wisdom.
Ancient wisdom. So we're going back to basics today, and we're going to start talking about career pivots because the reason why we brought this up is because we've been having a lot of clients call us up, and these are normally in their early mid-40s, and they're saying that, Adrian, I want to do a career switch.
Or they're thinking that they have hit a bit of a niche and they're out of runway, and they're thinking, gosh, if they continue like this, they're going to get stuck. And a lot of people are concerned about getting stuck.
Yeah, so many of them, the first feeling they feel is, I am looking at, I cannot see myself in this role for the next 5, 10, 15 years. I want to try something different. But a lot of times, when we have clients coming to us for career switch advice, their idea is basically, I want to switch to something totally different, radical, like baking or opening up a kindergarten, isn't it?
Sometimes they do have a burning desire to completely do a 180-degree convert into something that they've always dreamed of but never had a chance or never had the funds to try. And now they're thinking, hey, maybe now's the time. Quite a few of my clients think about a complete career shift, perhaps after a major retrenchment. Quite a few of them have wow,
and
okay,
I've come into flush with money, right?
I've come into a severance payment that's tax-free. What do I do with it? Is maybe I can now do whatever it was that I dreamt of since young and go on an archaeological dig in Greece, because I think that would be amazing. Or they want to try something really completely different, like diving into the deeps to do some marine biology or something. We all have dreams.
We all have dreams, and that's one of the challenges that come in when clients come to us and start talking to us about I want to do a career switch. Sometimes they confuse or they conflate. I would say conflate is a better word. They conflate a fantasy career or fantasy job with a real possible role. Let me give you an example. Like for myself, my fantasy job is someday when I retire, I'm going to be a tour guide.
I think that's going to be very plausible for you
when
you retire.
But not right now.
Not right now.
Yeah.
Not right now. So when you retire, you got nothing better to do your time, and you want to show people around the hidden sites of Singapore. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, but right now it's at this phase, it's a fantasy job for me.
Right. And the thing about a lot of clients is like, it's nice to dream, and it's okay to want to try your hand at something new, but then we have to figure out whether or not it's realistic.
Yeah, that's true. So that's why today we want to share some information with you. If you're thinking of doing a career pivot or mid-career switch, we want to talk to you about career pivoting and adjacencies. And the word adjacencies is a concept that we came up with to help smooth out your mid-career switches and your jumps.
Yeah.
So without further ado, let's have a look. So Yen, what are career pivots?
So when you think about what you bring to the table in your job, you have skills, you have experiences, you have a domain expertise, you have many levers that help you to do your job well, and collectively they're known as competencies. So when you think about something, I'm going to go physics. So there might be your job scope. You could be in sales, for example. And then there is the domain, which is the industry in which you perform your sales. And maybe a third item could be your technical expertise. So if you think about all the three things, a career pivot is either one of these things. It could be any of these three items, but you can't consider just jumping completely and changing everything, like having to change your job scope, your industry, and your technical domain, because that would be difficult for you to command back the premium that you used to have. You know, you're paid So if you've got a lot of experience
Especially if you're mid-career, right? You're
So if you've
so
got a lot
established
of
in your career already.
exactly, if you have a lot of experience on you, a career pivot is any one of these hinges that you would use to shift. So, for example, you're now in sales, doing IT sales in the IT industry. Then maybe you can pivot into marketing. So that would be a pivot, but you retain the industry and you retain perhaps your technical domain expertise, which could be in cybersecurity, it could be in data services. There's a whole bunch of things. So pivots are the hinges in which you leverage to make a change in your job.
So pivots are important, and you have to be able to identify your pivots, because if you're unable to identify your pivots, it's going to be hard to know what to pivot to. So what are some examples of pivots? Like what Yan mentioned, maybe you're very good at sales. So sales capability could be a pivot, which means that you can probably hop into different industries, into what we call adjacencies, which is the next topic we're going to talk about. When we talk about adjacencies are it's something which is just next to, close enough to where you are. So when you talk about adjacencies, there are industry adjacencies, which basically means that if you are a banker, then if you're in the banking industry, perhaps maybe if you're in regulation and compliance, maybe perhaps the fintech space would be an adjacency. Maybe the insurance company would be an adjacency. What are the other types of adjacency? So it could be an industry adjacency, or it could be a skill adjacency. If you're in sales, maybe you can want to do marketing, which is skill adjacent. So there are lots of adjacencies you can think of. So when we talk about pivots, we want to be able to hop from one pivot, if it's your skill in sales, into marketing, which is an adjacency.
So it's complicated from many axis. There's the y-axis, there's the x-axis, and then there's the z-axis.
Yes.
So think of yourself as a Rubik's cube with multiple talents.
I like that.
That kind of, with the multiple facets that would be combined into a package. And collectively, I guess my terminology for it is a competency. So you're not just a skilled in sales, but you are a regional salesperson, focusing on enterprise software solutions and targeting banking clients. So that would be a very precise definition of your competency. And then if you want to have an adjacency, so as an example, you could be still the enterprise salesperson across the region, but perhaps you adjacent, like you shift into a different solution. So instead of enterprise software, it could be a very specific cloud-based solution, or it could be an infrastructure solution. So, but you still got the two pivots. So that's.
So what we are saying is this: basically, if you're thinking of a mid-career switch, don't think of something that's totally, absolutely radical, different from your
different. Like let's go set up a cafe and a bar.
Let's set up a pet hotel.
A lot of clients do that.
I'm allergic to fur.
Oh, by the way, as a tangent, if you are thinking of something completely out of left field, incubate the idea as a side hustle. So don't give up your dream, but you certainly are more than within your rights to try it out as a side hustle on your weekends and in the days off. Why not? Let's do it. Pet hotel's a great enterprise.
Only if you're not allergic to fur, then
you can run it. You can hire people, and then you can take a lot of antihistamines.
Or you could run a pet hotel if you're allergic to fur for hairless animals like terrapins.
I still think a bar is a great idea. A bar where you can.
Now I'll go bankrupt.
Yeah, well,
I'll be having all my friends over, and I'll be.
You'll run it. You'll turn up on the weekends, and then you'll hire.
Nice idea, isn't it?
Hire your brother-in-law or a distant relative that you trust, who won't pilfer from you.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
But anyway, side hustles are still a good idea, and then if it works out, you can utilize that as your pivot into something very different again.
So there are two elements. Okay, the first element is basically your career pivot. What's your strength? What's your industry? What's your knowledge? And then look for adjacencies, which is our second point. What are you skills adjacent? that you can pivot into? What are you industry adjacent you can pivot into? What are you knowledge adjacent? What knowledge do you have that another industry might want to be, might be very keen on having you on board? So these are, once again, it sounds very technical, doesn't it?
It's not too difficult.
But we're only saying
there's a lot to unravel.
Well, we're only saying that because we are the experts.
And also, I think if you are in the middle of it, it's very hard to see the forest for the trees.
That's true.
So
because you don't know what you don't know.
And also, when it's a big decision that you have to go through, it's always nice to talk to a third party so that you have a sounding board. Because when you're in the middle of a decision, it's very hard. But I'm sure a lot of our clients have mentored other people younger than them, and they're like, "Yeah, it's so easy." So it's different when it's your own. Decision or your own challenge. So if you have a question or two, come talk to us. We run career clinics. And maybe you just need fresh perspective, and that's enough for you to send you on your way. And that's we're happy to help you.
Yeah, that's true. So know what your adjacencies are and explore those adjacencies. A lot of times you don't know what you don't know. So please just go and find out, talk to people, understand where you're going. One great idea we always share is if you're trying to figure out what are the options ahead of you and you don't know where to move towards, besides talking to us, you can look at where your old colleagues have gone. Maybe they've moved, hey, wow, Joseph moved over to this other company. Wow, that's a great idea. Let me touch base with him and find out.
And the information is all on LinkedIn. So
Just
again, don't reinvent the wheel and look for someone who currently has a role you want. And then you can go and figure out their career journey as well. Just looking at some of the experiences that they have put out on LinkedIn. I think the LinkedIn has completely shifted the market information around so that information like this is more available now and you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
That's true. And also, I think one of the important things we need to know is what's your career quadrant?
What is a career quadrant?
What is a career quadrant? And I'm going to flip out the graph, the chart here. Okay, hold on. So these are the crossover quadrants that we use very often for our clients. It can be found in this book, The Great Career Paradox by Penguin Random House. You can download it from Amazon, or you can pick it up from us. Just go to our website, careeragility.org. And then we talk about the crossover quadrants. So if you want to make a crossover, there are two different dimensions along which you can move. One is you stay in your industry or you leave your industry, or you stay in your role and you leave your role. So I'm going to try and maximize the screen over here for you to have a look. So the crossover quadrant basically means there are four possibilities then. Number one is same role, same industry, which means you basically join a competitor. That's your first quadrant move. A second quadrant move means you stay in your same role but another industry. For instance, if you're a CFO in a pharmaceutical, then maybe perhaps you move into a CFO role in electronics. Same function, same role, but different industry. A third quadrant move would entail same industry but in a different role. So for instance, if you are in petrochemicals and you've been in marketing, but you say, hey, I'm getting bored of this, but I still love the petrochemical industry because I've spent the past 20 years there. So maybe this is time for me to move into a different role but in the same industry. So from marketing in a petrochemical, maybe you can move to supply chain because you are so familiar with the products, you're so familiar with where the markets are, that it could be an interesting move for you to pivot into. And of course, the fourth pivot is the fourth quadrant, which is basically different industry and a different role. Fourth quadrant moves can be tricky, but they are possible to move into if you have a good career strategy.
Yeah, so the four quadrants that Adrian has been describing, it sounds very technical. And what I want to add is that it can be as macro or as micro as you need it to be. So you can also use this model for within your own company. You could move to different business units. You can change and shift roles internally within your organization as well. So the quadrant model works at internal as well as externally. And we usually leverage this to help our clients think about what is it that they can keep and what is it that they want to change.
Yeah.
And
I like that.
and if you are an expert in finance and you don't want, because you enjoy the finance work, and then so you can change the environment around the finance. You don't have to change the finance.
True.
You don't have to change everything.
True. And one other useful part about this model is that you can decide not just what to keep or what to throw away. For instance, I know I don't want to do a quadrant 4 move, so let's forget about starting a kindergarten or a bubble tea shop. If you
Mr. Coconut's making lots of money there.
actually, yeah. or you say, okay, I still want to stay in this industry. Therefore, I want to have a quadrant 3 move. Any quadrant 2 move that comes up, I'm not interested. Okay, for instance. So that's where a model like this gives you clarity, limits your focuses your field of options to the ones which are in line with your strategy. So have a think about it. What career quadrant do you want to move into?
Well, really, it's just logic, isn't it?
Yeah, I know everything is
It's
logic
really about
until
a choice. Yeah.
everything is logic until it isn't. So Yen, what are some examples of successful career pivots that you've seen executives do? And is there
so many?
And is there an age limit to
None. There's no age limit age limit to career choices. There are obstacles along the way, but again, it's really how you manage them. And so you come talk to us if you need to have some advice on how to battle some of these obstacles that you may face. So again, no age limit. It's really about I guess clever strategies. But examples of successful pivots. Let's take an IT sales manager, someone who's very technical, came from pre-sales. So from pre-sales into sales is a very logical move. And then for as this individual gets much older, and by the way, this is a real person, I'm just talking about him. When the person gets a bit older, and then they shift into the MNC itself, they're no longer doing sales, but they move to the customer environment to become the CTO. And because they've got a technical background and they're capable of strategizing the commercial value of the technology that supports the business. They've done some consulting work. They've got the pre-sales, they've got the workflow, they've got the diagrams, they've got the frameworks.
It all works, right? Yeah.
Being a CTO is not difficult. And so that's one very typical example of a successful pivot in the IT sector. But because that's my origin, so I'm talking about IT examples.
I have an example myself. So I had this friend who is who's in the pharmaceutical sector, and he was doing sales. He was doing sales really well. He was as a great sales manager. He motivated his people, exceeded sales targets, but he didn't want to sell drugs anymore. So what he did was he took his entire playbook of sales methodology, sales processes and everything, and he pivoted into, and he decided, I want to do a skills adjacent move, a skills adjacent pivot. So he decided that I'm going to move from sales, where there's a sales target, into a role where it's just sales training. So he moved and evolved into a sales force effectiveness role where he was training sales teams, and he moved from a role in pharmaceutical to real estate. So he's been going around training real estate agents how to be more effective in their sales. So you see,
it's a great story.
It's a great story, right? Lovely. So ultimately, he pivoted from one industry to another, and he modified his pivot as well, which is from sales to sales training.
Yeah, I should share my example. So I started out in IT sales with IBM. Did not enjoy it, did not understand it, didn't see a future in it. But during the time there, I obviously, I'm immersed now in the industry. I'm talking to people, I'm talking to clients, I'm talking to B2B customers. But the people there are the ones that I got to know very well. So I pivoted into headhunting because it's a sales role, still the same skill, but leveraging off industry contacts. And I never left IT because I headhunted in the tech sector for the longest time. And then when I decided to pivot into coaching, because that was a decision for my work-life balance, guess who? And because of the headhunting experience, I had a broader than normal reach of network and
Very
people.
nice.
So the headhunting, which was already originally in tech, but it also included salespeople and other things. And so it made the skills pivot very very relevant, because the headhunting was all about job search and helping our clients land, and then going into career coaching was very logical. And then I've been here ever since. And so the pivots tend to make sense. But I mean, I must admit, at the time when I was doing that, I didn't have the terminology or the models or the frameworks. It just made sense. But I did at the time also did certify in the career coaching. So I've got a lot of the technical coaching bits done. But a lot of the models we kind of developed it along the way. So we're here to share a lot of that ideas with you.
That's true. And I think it's not difficult if you have a career strategy and if you have a strong career strategist like us to sit in your corner to give you advice on what the next moves are.
I'm just hearing you flag, but yeah, it's something we're very proud of as well, because there are coaches and then there are coaches, and we do
there
hear
are career strategists.
we do hear a lot of stories about disenfranchised and disillusioned individuals who come to us and they go like, I had a coach and it was less than
bad experience.
Yeah, so
come talk to us. We care.
Yeah, and if it doesn't work out, that's great too. I mean, we're not going to claim the monopoly on all the wisdom, but we are genuine in wanting to make a difference in your life.
So Yen, what is the most common mistake when it comes to mid-career folks trying to make a career switch?
I think lack of information, emotional, making the decision emotionally rather than rationally, failure to research properly.
That's true.
And I think the biggest one is not starting earlier. So a lot of these ideas require careful planning. Please don't wait until the kitchen's too hot and then you feel like, oh no, I need to get out. That's when you become very emotional in the decision and the choices, and usually decisions like this made in an emotional manner is usually not great. You don't get the best outcomes out of it. We want to be rational and we want to be calculated. We want to mitigate risks, and we want to make sure that we have a backup plan just in case.
Don't be hasty, come talk to us, especially if you are in a stage now where you are thinking what's next. So that's exactly why we have decided to organize a fantastic physical event at SPH Auditorium on the 13th of January next year. And this event is called the Achieve Career Success in 2024 event, where we're going to share all the latest information, insights, trends on employment, and all our latest thoughts with you on how you can achieve a healthy career and how to be happy at work.
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway from the event that's coming up in January is a little bit more clarity, and it's something you don't want to neglect. Even though it's kind of long term, a career strategy is kind of long term, but it's something you still got to keep an eye on just in case. It's like navigating a big tanker, a big ship. The 2 degrees of movement in the long run accumulates into a larger shift in direction. So pay attention to your career strategy. What we want to do is we want to focus on ensuring that you have a control over your career so that you got more time for the more important things in your life. I mean, ultimately, it's all about what am I here for?
Yeah, that's true.
Life is short. Let's
have fun.
Have some fun along the way. And so during the event, we'll talk about sustainability issues. Actually sustainability strategies for your career. We're also going to talk about how to accelerate, how to make more money, how to maximize and optimize your career so that you do have the resources to do the different things like the bar and the pet hotel, if that is what you want to do. It's really all about the resources, isn't it?
That's true. That's true. So, final advice to career switchers. Yen, what would you give a career switcher?
Everything I was just saying. So in summary, plan, be rational, do lots of research, and talk to the experts.
I think for my piece of advice, I would say that you might be feeling frustrated at this point in time. You might be feeling that there are no options. There are options, it's just that you haven't uncovered them yet, because if you look at the career quadrants, there are 4 quadrants and so many opportunities lie even within each quadrant themselves. So you have to be able to get information, like what Yan said, to uncover the things that you didn't know. And networking is one way of doing it. But just getting advice from experts, that will really help expedite. Don't go and think that a career switch means a 180-degree switch to something totally, absolutely different. Okay, look for adjacencies, look for your career pivots. So you have to figure out how to move ahead with deliberation, with intent, and with strategy.
Yeah, and ultimately the goal is to look for financial freedom. So let's optimize your career while you will make hay while the sun shines, and then you can you can just have some pockets of time. But speaking of those quadrants and those opportunities, sometimes the market's quite sucky. And even in the Saki market, there are hotspots, and you've got to figure out how you can create opportunities for yourself. So come talk to us about some of these other out of left field ideas. And frankly, it's not all doom and gloom. And it's actually not that bad. You're not a statistic. So let's take control today and make some decisions.
Like what we always say, tomorrow is the first day of
the rest of
your life.
Yeah.
So
Maybe
come
that's
talk to us, info@careeragility.org.
And we look forward to seeing you at our event.
Have a great one. Take care. Bye.